Good afternoon and welcome to this meeting of South Oxfordshire District Council's General Licensing Committee. I'm Councillor Jo Robb and I will be chairing the meeting today. This meeting is being held at our offices at Abbey House, Abingdon. Voting members are here in person as required. We have Councillor Catherine Keats-Rowan and Councillor Kelly Hinton. But officers and public speakers are able to join remotely if they wish through Microsoft Teams. The meeting is being streamed live on the Council's YouTube channel for public viewing. Just three quick procedural matters. In the unlikely event that a voting member has not heard all the speakers and debate, the member must inform the chair. Where that's the case, you should not propose a motion or participate in the debate or vote on the application. And for everybody joining remotely, and there is no one, when you're not speaking, please ensure your microphone is muted and your camera is switched off. If councillors wish to ask a question or participate in the debate, please could you raise your hand. For housekeeping announcements, firstly, the evacuation procedure. I think we're all aware that in the event of an emergency, please leave by the nearest exit, which is across the other side of the corridor, and we stand at Assembly Point 9 outside the fire exit. Democratic Services officers will help us, and that is Emily here today. On arriving at this meeting, you should have read the emergency evacuation procedure and signed the fire register. Please inform the Democratic Services officer if you have not. I haven't. I will. Please can everyone ensure that their mobile phones are switched to silent and not use them during the meeting unless you need it to access the information for today's meeting. When the meeting is ended, I'll ask for your confirmation that the live stream, I'll ask for confirmation that the live stream has ended, and then we will be able to leave the building, remembering to sign out. Do we have any apologies for absence, Emily?
We do, from Councillor Gordon-Cream.
Okay, thank you. Now we're being asked to adopt and agree for me to sign as a correct record the minutes of the committee meeting on the 23rd of May 2024. Could I have a proposer to adopt those minutes?
I would propose.
Thank you, Catherine. You're satisfied that they're an accurate record?
Yes.
Thank you. Is that seconded? Thank you, Kelly. So the minutes are adopted as an accurate record. Declarations of interest. Are there any declarations of disposable pecuniary interest or any conflicts of interest in respect of items on today's agenda? I see none. Urgent business. I have none. Thank you. Now we'll move to the item on today's agenda, which is the review of the joint street trading policy. And I'll now hand over to the officer, Laura Driscoll, to present today's report.
We won't be able to see Laura today because we're having some technical issues in the room, but you will be able to hear her.
Thank you. Laura, go ahead when you're ready, please.
Lovely, thank you. Good afternoon, everybody. The purpose of this report today is to bring before you the revised joint street trading policy for approval to go out to consultation. The officer who drafted the policy has prepared a document that you'll find at Appendix B, which summarises the changes that have been made to the previous policy, which dates back to 2014. I wanted to highlight paragraph 7 of the report, which explains the addition of a section to the policy to better explain how multiple site traders can apply to the council. So in effect, once there's been a consultation on the suitability of a site to host street trading, new traders can apply for consent without the need for a new consultation unless there are changes to the trading days or hours. Another key change I wanted to highlight is the addition of proposed measures to be taken by traders to minimise their environmental impact in relation to packaging and waste, and that's to assist with our climate objectives. As a slight update to the report, the council now has 28 current street trading consents. Of those, 15 cover multiple sites, 8 cover a fixed single site, and 5 are mobile traders, for example, ice cream vans. We're looking to run a 6-week public consultation on the policy, which will be sent to current and proposed traders, responsible authorities, councillors, town and parish councils. And after the consultation, we'll bring back a report on the results along with a final draft of the policy for consideration. And we're hopeful that'll be in early February. I don't have anything else to add, but happy to answer any questions the members may have.
Thank you, Laura. Catherine, Kelly, do you have any questions for the officers?
Yes, I must admit I have considerable reservations about multiple site traders. I think this may be going too far in one area. Am I allowed to and avert a situation in Wallingford at the moment.
Is this a present situation?
No, the license has been granted, but there's lots of unhappiness.
I think I might have been on that panel.
We were all on that panel, I think.
Right.
Go ahead.
Well, the thing is, it's very strange what happened because people didn't seem to be aware of it. I became aware of it too late, and I'm now fighting them all off because they're very, very unhappy about what's happened. And actually, you know, the more you look at the situation, the more unsatisfactory it seems. Now, I know this is something that we, you know, could we come back to, though it couldn't involve me, obviously. But we do have another street trader quite near, and the idea suddenly of even more of it, it does not strike me that this is a good move.
Is there a question there that you wanted?
Well, yeah. How do we, yeah, so I suppose there'll be a consultation is the right place to sort of say, well, is this really a good move? I can understand why you're doing it to streamline the process, but I think it might be something that ends up governed by the law of unintended consequences. So I'm sorry, that's not a question, it's an observation.
Okay,
I beg your pardon, Chair.
not at all. Laura, did you have anything in response to that? I apologise, it wasn't a question as such, but
No, that's fine. So the current issue in Wallingford, and just to sort of clarify, that's gone to our legal department for review. It's nothing to do with multiple site traders, though. It's not relevant to that issue.
The current one is not, that is true.
Yeah,
But
yeah,
there
so
is
it's
one
definitely
round
not
the
relevant to
corner
that.
that would be affected. I mean, they're very, very proximate. That's what is concerning me.
Yeah, it's interesting. I suppose I can't recall off the top of my head whether there's anything in either our existing policy or our future policy which looks at need or other businesses that might be impacted. I can have a quick look, but it becomes slightly controversial, I think, in that respect. You know, competition, some would say, would be a good thing. I
Laura,
appreciate you might not agree.
if I could pick up on that point, I wonder if there's
Sure.
anything in the policy, just looking about the cumulative impact of multiple street traders in close proximity to each other. Do we consider the cumulative impact of having street trading operating in close proximity in a town, for example?
So,
Yes,
so
under
at present,
11.2.
Yeah.
So yeah, at present, there's nothing that talks about that at all. In our current policy, if there's no objections, we have to issue it. That's what it says,
Yeah.
which is the situation with the one in Wallingford that's being referred to. So if persons making objections were able to tie that impact to the stuff that we talk about in our policy in respect of things like nuisance, you know, odour, anything like that, then it would absolutely be taken into account when making a decision. That would be quite straightforward.
And the key is that there needs to be objections
Yes.
that would flag that as a concern.
Yeah, but very similar to if it was a new nightclub that had opened with nobody noticing the notice.
So, I mean, what I'm suggesting to people is, you know, I've said to them, you know, there were no objections, and so the grant has been automatic. But if they have concerns, they should keep an eye on the situation and log anything they regard as
Absolutely, yes,
problematic.
that's correct. Yeah,
so that they can come back to you with evidence.
yes, yeah. I don't believe the trader's actually started yet, so I don't think there are
No.
any concerns. But
No,
as I said,
that's
it's
what
with
I'm
legal to
quite-
review. It's with legal to review as well as a separate issue, just in case. But I'm not aware of anything we can do right at this point in time. But fingers
I
crossed.
have actually pointed out that one does have to be alert. I mean, I think you and I probably corresponded on this.
We did.
And it's about people having their eyes open. I mean, I did suggest a voice activated notice so that it says something when people walk past. I mean, because people don't notice. It's entirely random what they pick up and what they don't. It is a problem.
Mm.
And I think something we ought to think about is how we can ensure, you know, that these messages do get out so we don't end up with situations similar to this.
Laura, I've got a very quick question following on from this, I guess. In terms of what would constitute a material change in the area, or complaints or concerns have been raised in respect of existing traders, is there a threshold of how many complaints you would have to have before the license, before a further consultation or a change to the license would be triggered? And what would be the process for that?
No, I don't believe there's at the moment. I think we would expect simply one substantiated complaint would be enough to review the matter. It would depend on the severity of the matter. So it's always very difficult because you know, everybody can slip sometimes and maybe commit one minor foul, as it were. But if it's a serious issue, that might be enough to trigger it. So I
Okay,
hope
thank
that's,
you.
yeah, so it's not necessarily sort of written in stone, if that makes sense. It's one of those grey
Sure.
area type things.
And finally, from me, when you say substantiated complaint, because there's no definition, I don't think, so what would be a substantiated complaint?
One where ideally officers have sort of gone and actually seen the same thing happen again, ideally, or another party such as the police or environmental health.
Okay, thank you.
So one of my concerns is with street food, and generally I'm in favour of it. I think it's a great way for people to run a business, for people to get great food. I think it's very dependent on the location, everything. That's just personal opinion. But one thing that I'm noticing is that anything can now be a mobile food truck, from a horse box to a van to a whatever. It's not just like Mo's Kebab in Grays Road car park.
Yeah.
It's a case of people are now fitting into other areas, and I know in this it refers to that where they're in pub car park or they're in and I know there's certain safeguards in place, so it can't be near a school within certain hours and such, but one of the real concerns I have is around generators. So when we have the Christmas festival, for example, anyone that's supplying food that's by a residential property, we get so many complaints because of the generators. So I did look through preventing nuisance or annoyance, and further down, which was I think environmental sustainability. Is there anything in here that sort of brings it to noise or generators and the use of silent generators or anything like that in those particular areas? So, I mean, it's not going to apply to a kebab van on a lay-by somewhere, but it would, you know, something like that might need to be in place if they're in a tiny 10-car car park in the middle of a residential area. Then the generator is going to be a lot more problematic for the immediate neighbours than it is in a lay-by where you've got loads of traffic or loads of cars travelling fast anyway.
Yes, no, that makes sense. I think what I'd probably suggest we do to sort of make sure we're picking that up is ensure that the application form asks how they are powering the vehicle, stall, whatever it is. And then what I would expect environmental protection to be doing when they look at the application, because they're a standard consultee, is working out whether potentially the use of a generator in that area is appropriate or not, because there are obviously alternatives. I know sometimes they can hook up to power in like what do they call them, lighting columns, I think is the formal name for them, things like that. So there are alternatives if the use of generators isn't actually suitable for an area. So, but yes, I think that's a good idea to sort of make sure that the application form picks that information up so the consultees are aware.
Yeah, and similarly on that point, because you raised that exact point with the previous mobile trading applications that we had around the generators, but also around idling, particularly where we've got proximity to residential properties and idling, you know, to power the vehicle to do the cooking, etc., can also be a issue as well. So perhaps that can be picked up at the same time.
Yeah, no, that makes sense.
Thank you. Anything else? Sorry.
Recommendations, Chair.
Yeah.
We have a proposer.
I will. Okay.
Recommendations.
Bear with me, everybody. Apologies. Oh, you've got it there. Hang on a minute. I'm opening it up again. Sorry, everything was opening. So. Was it any actual thing? Thank you very much. So the recommendation from officers today is that this committee should authorise the head of communities to carry out the consultation based on this joint street trading policy at Appendix A. And we've got the summary of the changes to the policy in Appendix B. And I just wanted, I'm happy to propose that we authorise the head of communities to carry out that consultation. Do I have a seconder for that? Thank you, Kelly. Shall we go to the vote on that? Yeah?
Yes.
Are we all happy to go ahead with the consultation? Thank you very much, committee. And thank you, Laura, and thank you, officers. Thank you, Emily. And I think our work here is done. Thank you very much.